I'm Kasem. These are the week's biggest hits from 40 to number 1, and we're counting them down. Rolling in at number 32 is the 6th of our 8 debuts. It's by legendary reggae artist Jimmy Cliff. This is his remake of the number 1 Johnny Nash hit from 1972. I Can See Clearly Now.
American Top 40!
I'm Shadoe Stevens, and this is American Top 40. This next singer has probably done more to spread the reggae beat around the world than just about any other artist but the late Bob Marley. Jimmy Cliff's from Jamaica, born in a village called Somerton near Montego Bay. He had his first hit in Jamaica when he was just a teenager with a song he wrote called Hurricane Hattie, and that got him a deal with Island Records, and Jimmy moved to Britain. In 1973, Jimmy Cliff starred in a movie called The Harder They Come about Jamaican life, and over the years it's become a very popular cult film. It's still playing in movie revival houses. And the soundtrack from The Harder They Come is still considered one of the best reggae albums ever. It features all different reggae artists, including Jimmy Cliff, of course. And that album made him an international reggae star. He has a lot of famous fans. Bob Dylan called Jimmy's song Vietnam one of the best protest songs ever written. And Bruce Springsteen made Jimmy's song Trapped part of his live shows after he heard it in a London airport. Jimmy told us, "My role has been the shepherd of reggae music. Jamaican music paving the way. When they wanted to bring reggae to the U.S., to England, to Africa, they sent for Jimmy Cliff." He was born James Chambers, but for more than 2 decades, he's been Jimmy Cliff.
Casey's biggest hits.
A year ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was I Can See Clearly Now by a singer who became an international sensation overnight, thanks to a film he starred in. The film that introduced reggae to the world. I'll have details on that big hit after this.
Sitting in for Kasem, I'm David Perry. We're counting down now to Jimmy Cliff, one of the pioneers of reggae music. He had his first number 1 reggae hit in his homeland of Jamaica way back in 1962 when he was just 14 years old. Details coming up.
Casey's Coast to Coast. Casey's Top 40.
Now we're up to the latest hit for Jimmy Cliff, one of the pioneers of reggae music. He had his first number 1 reggae hit in his homeland of Jamaica way back in 1962, when he was just 14 years old. He was born James Chambers in 1948 in St. Catherine Parish in the countryside of Jamaica, and grew up in a religious family that followed a mixture of Christianity and the Jamaican religion called Rastafarianism. Every Sunday they'd go to church and pray and sing, and what they'd sing wasn't so much gospel as songs with a Caribbean beat that evolved into reggae. James Chambers loved the sound of reggae so much, he decided to try and make it as a singer. He changed his name to Jimmy Cliff and got his big break one day when he met a local record producer named Leslie Kong at a local club. Jimmy showed the producer a reggae song he'd written about the hurricane that had just swept across Jamaica. The producer loved it, and after they recorded it, that song, called Hurricane Hattie, became a number 1 hit in Jamaica. Jimmy Cliff was just 14 years old at the time, and that number 1 hit established the teenager as one of reggae's first big stars. He went on to hit with songs like Wonderful World, Beautiful People, and Come Into My Life. And his life story also inspired the movie The Harder They Come, a film that made Jimmy Cliff an international star. This week, 31 years after his number 1 reggae Jamaican hit, Jimmy Cliff climbs 5 notches to number 20 on Casey's Top 40.
At 13, it's the recent top 10 hit for reggae legend Jimmy Cliff. He's just another one who always seems to be working out on tour, but when we got him to call in, we asked him how reggae music has changed since he started out almost 25 years ago.
I think reggae music has changed. Lyrical content has changed. For example, in the 70s, the message was very strong social and political message, reggae. Now I think the message is more on love, one love and that kind of thing.
American Top 40.
Radio plays them, Billboard computers track them, and then we count them down. I'm Shadoe Stevens. They say it never hurts to take a shot. Take this next singer. Grew up in Jamaica and took his shot thanks to 3 Chinese brothers. Way back in 1962 in Kingston, when he was about 15, he recorded his very first song called Daisy Got Me Crazy. Pretty exciting for him. But when the studio owner only offered the kid 1 shilling, which is equal to like a quarter or 50 cents for the job, his enthusiasm kind of disappeared. Then he got an idea. On his way home one night, he passed a local store called Beverly's, the kind of place that sold everything from records to ice cream. 3 Chinese brothers, the Kong brothers, owned the place, and the teenager went in there and tried to convince them to pay for him to make his next record, one that they could sell in their store. He auditioned for them right there on the spot, and one of the brothers, Leslie Kong, was impressed enough that he went for it. The record they made was Hurricane Hattie, and it went straight to #1 in Kingston. And that was the start of Leslie Kong's new career. He became a very successful record producer in the 60s. And the kid? Well, he soon became a local star in Jamaica and then the world. And 32 years later, that kid is now 47.
America's Top Hits.
This week back in 1994, one of the top hits in the USA was I Can See Clearly Now. It's by a singer who became an international star thanks to the film that introduced reggae to the world. It was back in 1972 that Jimmy Cliff was a reggae singer with a string of hits in his native Jamaica. But outside of Jamaica, neither Jimmy nor reggae were well known. Then he became involved with a film about a struggling Jamaican musician, a country boy who moves to the city to find his fortune. The movie, The Harder They Come, became a cult classic, and Jimmy Cliff, who both starred in the film and sang 4 songs on the soundtrack, became a major star. This week, back in 1994, he brought his reggae style to one of the top hits in the USA, a song from yet another movie, a movie called Cool Runnings. Here's Jimmy Cliff with I Can See Clearly Now.
Casey counts them down.